Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mindful Trainer. Winter is coming in hot, or rather cold, and that means it's the perfect time to shift gears. Whether you're tightening up your strength routine for ski season, or you're craving a mindset reset before the new year hits, today's episode with my friend, the Stoke Coach, Rachel Friedman-Elberts, is your invitation to approach your fitness program with fresh eyes. I'm your host, Melanie Webb, and we're diving into the simple training shifts that help you feel strong, creative, and ready for whatever adventure winter throws your way. Let's get on to the episode. Welcome to the Mindful Trainer, the podcast that takes you inside the minds of athletes, coaches, guides, and trainers who have overcome challenges to reach their goal. I'm your host, Melanie Webb, and I'm joined today by someone who truly lives and breathes adventure, movement, and the outdoors. Rachel Friedman-Elberts, also known as the Stoke Coach. Rachel, welcome to the...
Thank you.
Rachel, I'm excited for this conversation for so many reasons. First of all, not only are you someone I consider a friend and a colleague, but you're such a kindred spirit. I feel like we can go a couple months and not connect. And then the minute we do, most likely we're going to be into some similar things. And that's been happening a lot recently, which I think is really cool. We have a really rich conversation lined up today. So I just want to set the stage for the listeners by telling them a little bit more about you. Rachel is the founder of the Stoke Coach, where she helps people reconnect with the joy of movement, build strength, and get outside. From growing up in New York City to finding her true, authentic self in the mountains, she's blended her love for movement, mindfulness, and outdoor adventure into a unique coaching style that empowers people to break out of their comfort zones and redefine what health means to them. Her approach isn't about just working out. It's about feeling strong, confident, and fully alive in your body, so you can take on life's adventures, big or small. Whether it's training for ski season, embracing nature as your gym, or simply finding more energy and joy in movement, Rachel is here to inspire and guide you. Rachel Elberts, you and your practice embody adventure, movement, and an unstoppable zest for life. You are the holistic wellness coach and fitness trainer. So let's dive in and get stoked on life with Rachel.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So can I share quickly how we met? And I'd love your side of this as well. So about 6 years ago, I wrote my book, Adventures in Mother Nature's Gym. And my first book signing and the bookstore that accepted the book was Dolly's Bookstore on Main Street in Park City. So listeners who live here, you know Dolly's, how special it is. And those of you coming, you want to stop by Dolly's. One day I saw this email popped up and it was from Rachel saying, I bought your book. Do you want to talk and grab tea? And I was like, what? Somebody bought my book and they're here and they want to meet. I was just so complimented. And from the minute we sat down and talked, again, I just felt a kindred spirit in you. And it was the beginnings of a friendship and what I consider to be a very important colleague, because there aren't very many of us who are concerned with the outdoors as much as we are fitness. You have such a unique storybook story that I think reads a lot like the hero's journey. So you're raised in New York City. We're going to start there, attending exclusive private schools, living a life many of us have seen on the big screen, but perhaps not seen up close and personal, right? You pursued a career in sports management. And now you live out west in a mountain town of all places where you're raising your family and you've established your business, Stoke Coach. So I would love to hear more about how you got from there to here and the thought process you went through making the decision to leave the world you knew to pursue an entirely new lifestyle based around what brings you joy.
Absolutely. Just to also share my story around going to Dolly's. I know I was just walking. We had moved here in 2019, and I had started Stoke Coach from this kind of vision when I was living in San Francisco. And we moved here, and I was just kind of like popping in and out of stores and doing some like research, and maybe like I don't know if I can't remember if I was handing out like business cards or whatnot, or like maybe hanging flyers. But then I saw your book, The Adventures in Mother Nature's Gym, and I was like, what is this? Who is this person? She's doing something like that is so similar to like my ethos. I like flipped through the book, and I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so helpful for my business. And then I know I'm not shy about reaching out to people because I feel like people don't know who you are. They don't know you. You have to ask for what you want in life. And I'm like a full believer in like persistence and just like cold calling and cold DMing and cold messaging. So I just kind of reached out and been like, if she doesn't respond, like no skin off my back because, whatever you did. And I was so excited. And it was really awesome start, like you said, to a friendship and kind of a collaboration. And so it's in the vein of instead of like competition, it's about collaboration and how you can have people who do a very similar thing, but at the same time bring their own unique spirit. So just wanted to back up for a second. And then when it comes to kind of my upbringing in New York City, like, yeah, I was born and raised in Manhattan on the Upper West Side. And I loved growing up in the city. I loved feeling the energy of New York and really just immersing myself in city things. I loved walking the streets. I loved being in Central Park. But it definitely is a hustle, and you don't kind of recognize that as a kid. You kind of recognize that more after you graduate college. So I went to a private school in New York City, and you're just kind of thrown on the hamster wheel without even knowing that you're on the hamster wheel. I've been going to this school since I was in kindergarten through 12th grade. And then during school, you're trying to get the best grades and you're trying to get the best SAT scores and get into the best college. And when you're in college, I went to University of Michigan in the School of Kinesiology, and I really wanted to work in like the sports industry in a like sports management, strategic communications, PR role. But I worked at Major League Baseball Productions, the Detroit Pistons, IMG, and Major League Baseball. So the commissioner and their PR department is like internships, and I had this really built up professional resume in the sports industry. And after moving back to New York after college, I don't know, the city just kind of got to me. Everyone I knew had like moved back to the city, and it was just like such a hustle. Getting on the subway, getting off the subway. But I had this drive inside me to being this like boss lady with like, power suit, high heels, because that was kind of like what was ingrained in you as this up and coming cityite, I guess. And all your friends are in the city and they're all doing the same thing. They're on the hamster wheel, the hustle. And you kind of are built up for this success of like, okay, I did all the things right. I went to a good private school. I went to a good college. I got, decent grades and got all the professional internships. And then after college, I was like, couldn't find a job. I applied and I applied for all these positions, and it was just like, you need more experience. I'm like, how much more experience can I get? It's just not the right fit. And it was really, really, really hard. And so one day I went to a friend's house and who was living in Vale, and I was like, wait, people do this? You can get off the hamster wheel and like change. Like you don't have to like live in New York City. And I didn't know. I was like stuck in my bubble. But anyway, so I went to Vale, and I was like, I want to be a ski bum. So I came back, and within 6 months I had found a job, roommates, an apartment, and moved to Vale that November. So like that was like February of 2007, and then I moved in November of 2006. But I digress a little bit. In terms of sports and movement and fitness, I played field hockey, softball, I ran track. I started skiing when I was 2, snowboarding when I was 15. I love surfing and tennis and golf, like literally all the sports. And I like found myself in the gym. We had a really nice gym on the Upper West Side that I would go to. And I loved running. I trained for a marathon. I ran the Vancouver Marathon in 2006 and trained for the New York City Marathon, and then dislocated my shoulder 2 weeks before. I've always been
I didn't know
Oh,
that
yeah.
story.
I can
Oh,
digress a little bit. It was I was in Maui hiking in a lava tube with some friends. We were going cliff jumping,
oh,
and on the way,
oh
I like jump up
no.
to grab like a rock, and then to like climb up this waterfall in this lava tube, very narrow, and I kind of like missed the handhold a bit, and I came down, and my shoulder came out. I had to hike for 2 hours
Oh,
with a dislocated shoulder. We
no.
were like
So I did not
yeah,
know
we were,
that.
like, halfway to Hana too, so I had to be in the car for another hour while my, like, shoulders, like, pulsating. They had to give me 3 shots of morphine to put me under. I was in so much pain.
And is that all your muscles just
Yeah.
seized up
Yeah,
so
so
hard. I dislocated as well, but I've never had that
I know, it was
situation.
I understand the pain now that I can tolerate, like, childbirth and whatnot, but, like, it was
Uh-huh.
very, very hard and
Oh
sad because
no.
like, the New York City Marathon is, like, the pinnacle of marathons for me
It is.
especially, but, yeah, I was an athlete, loved playing sports, I love being outside. We had a beach house in Long Island and just kinda grew up outside even though I grew up in New York City, and, this is, like, kind of a really important part of the story is that, I remember one day working at one of my internships in the city, and it was just like a ridiculously beautiful day. And like that Ferris Bueller quote was like, "How do they expect me to go to school a day like today?" And I like had that thought, and I was like, "I'm calling in sick." And like I went to the park, and I just laid there in the sun, being like, "It is just a quintessential New York City perfect day." And how you expect people to work. And I think that was like the beginning of the end for me when it comes to like sitting behind a corporate desk. So having a long story short, I guess, like being an athlete, wanting to work in sports, and being someone who wants to prepare for these sports and like be fit to be able to go on adventures when I want to and not have to like be like, oh, I'm not strong enough to do this thing. Like I remember like junior varsity softball, like I would go to the gym and like prepare to be like make the varsity teams. Strength training and functional fitness is so important for preparing yourself for all of the sports and adventures. But I feel like that was a really roundabout way to answer your question.
No, I loved it. So you're in the right place. You've landed. You're in your mountain town home, and it's not your first. And obviously, you had a stint in San Francisco. And we're going to get to this later. I think talking about the mindset and the psychographic of the kind of person that you work with, right? Like, having lived in the big cities yourself.
I was part of your question, like kind of where Stoke Coach came from, which is kind of my origin story.
Origin story to start with, and then definitely like getting into a little later in our conversation, I want to get into like the deep philosophy. In fact, like we can segue there now into your coaching philosophy.
Well, uh, so I spent, I guess like the whole story kind of sets me up for this kind of revelation of this business that I wanted to start. Well, I spent like 6 years in Vail as a pretty green, outdoorsy type. Like, I loved sports and being outdoors. And I felt this like deep, authentic connection to just like frolicking in nature, I guess. But I wasn't a big camper or a backpacker or like crunchy granola. Like, I feel like if you asked me if I wanted to go like backpacking, I'd be like, what are you talking about? But but like living in Vail, I really got exposed to a lot of that more like rugged nature. Met some friends who taught me how to mountain bike, and like being a city girl mountain biking, I get such a kick out of it every time I get on my mountain bike. My younger self could see me now. This is the most badass thing that I do because I feel like a lot of people who grew up in New York City, like you go skiing like once a year, twice a year, go up to like Killington or like Hunter, but you're not going mountain biking. Yeah. So being in Vail, I was there, ended up being there for 6 years, which is crazy. Like I thought I was going to be there for a ski season. And I fell in love with mountain towns and mountain town lifestyle and, snowboarding and powder days and all the friends on a powder day. And it was just like this joy of life that was kind of like infused in me through snowboarding. And I still kind of live this ethos now. And I don't know. I met my husband on closing day at Vail in a very ridiculous way. We connected over our love of snowboarding and mountain towns and travel. And we went on this really ridiculous kind of trip together where he did an ocean crossing. And then he was like, oh, I'm coming back to Vail, but you should meet me in Thailand. I was like, okay. So he like sailed across the Indian Ocean for 2 months. And then we met up in Thailand and traveled around Southeast Asia together for a month. But anyway, I digress.
Cool story. This could be a podcast itself, right? Like this building of a friendship and love that you two have. And I've seen you guys together a lot, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And I love the origin story.
Well, thank you. And I mean, so we then moved to San Francisco together. He had started a company in the action sports and outdoor space. And I kind of dabbled in helping him with some things there. And through that, I got involved in the outdoor industry and PR, social media, communications, marketing, events. And I was kind of tapped by an agency to help out with this women's retreat that was kind of sponsored by REI. It was called Outessa. And I helped launch this wonderful, magical retreat that was held at like Powder Mountain and Kirkwood. And it was about bringing women together who maybe had never mountain biked or climbed or stand-up paddleboard together or stand-up paddleboarded themselves, and brought them to this retreat where they could try all these sports and maybe progress and get some new tips or learn some things about themselves with this like growth mindset and being a beginner again. And women came with their their themselves or their moms or their daughters or their sisters or their cousin. It was such a cool thing. And I was so inspired by it because myself, I've seen my progression through like mentors and all the miles that I had put on my bike and like snowboarding and hiking and backpacking, really getting more involved in this outdoorsy community and really feeling inspired by women who just did it and they were there to try and to learn. And it was about like progression and not perfection. And so through that inspiration and then being in San Francisco and you're the epicenter of like tech and entrepreneurs and I'm like, oh, I'll start my own business. And I was in my like I was a part of a couple of gyms there, like 24-hour fitness and crunch, and they were just like smelly and dark and dingy. And like one of the gyms was like in this old Alhambra like movie theater, and it was like so freaking dark. It was cool, but they had movies that were it was the worst. So it was really cool. I'm like, why do I want to be inside in this dark where it's like a beautiful day outside? And we lived by this area called Aquatic Park where they had a cool like stadium seating. So you could run up and down the stairs. You can use them as like tricep dips, and you could run out on the pier and over to like Fort Mason Park. And so I started doing more workouts outside. And I bought this necklace that said stoked on it. Generally, I feel like I'm a pretty stoked person as you know me. So I'm like on a run at Aquatic Park and I'm like, whoa, what if I became like a Stoke coach? Because I was trying to think of all these like things I could become. It's like I was dabbling like life coach, I was dabbling like personal trainer, but like what is a Stoke coach? And how do I help people kind of be more stoked in their life and like enjoy what life has to offer and feel the stoke that I have for adventure and travel and movement and nature. And it just kind of like this like light bulb had clicked in this aha moment about it's kind of expanded into this like movement and mindfulness thing. But it was originally just this life coachy kind of thing that was about how do I help people bring more joy into their life. And then it kind of moved into this like it's movement, it's mindfulness that kind of are connected and this mind body connection that really creates this joy and excitement with moving your body and preparing for adventures, outdoor activities where you feel this, you're kind of chasing this feeling of flow. And how do you kind of bring that flow into your life on a daily basis? And that's kind of where Stoke Coach was born, out of this idea of like wanting to help people feel this energy in their everyday adventures and their big adventures. Well, no, I think it was 2018 when I did my personal training certification with ACE. I had my dream job in the outdoor industry. I was working for this agency up in Portland that I was working remote in San Francisco, and I got laid off, and it was very sad because it was like such a great job and I loved the people I worked with, but I was like the last person they hired. So unfortunately I was laid off, but that kind of brought me more into the present of being an entrepreneur and wanting to start this business, from getting myself from out behind the computer and meeting people outside. So like I could find joy in helping people outside because I'm outside too and moving my body.
It puts you in the same energy that your client is in. So you're not just trying to create an energy from within and from a memory and how you know, but you're right there with them. And I think it's so interesting. I think if you spoke to a lot of entrepreneurs, we might have gotten to where we are by having an unfortunate circumstance of being let go, and then fighting for the dream of independence and the freedom that comes from that. And you get a taste of it, I think, and then it's hard to go back. Like I'll fight to stay independent for as long as I can because I just enjoy my freedom so much. And I think with Stoke Coach, so your evolution is you're taking your passions, you're tapping into that energy, you're seeing the vision, circumstances guide you to starting your own thing and trusting your intuition. You become a certified personal trainer. You're also a 200-hour yoga instructor. Like you said, you're a mountain biker, you're a snowboarder, you're a surfer. You created some really cool visualizations for my WebWell content that I just absolutely love. You can feel the energy of getting stoked as you talk people through. Now you're in this process, right? Like how do you communicate Stoke Coach to people who are looking for an average personal trainer? And I don't mean average to dismiss, right? I've been a personal trainer for 25 years now. So average isn't the word, but maybe we could say it in the box, right? Which is how the fitness industry has created an industrialized exercise. They've said, in order to exercise, you have to come inside the gym. And I think what you're doing flips that on its head. 'Cause if you don't go inside
Yeah.
gym.
Of my clients that I've worked with, sessions have all been outside. So Stoke Coach is about this connection between mindfulness, movement, and nature. Those are like my three buckets. And it's about, reframing movement as an act of self-love, because when we nurture our bodies, we nurture our mind, and we nurture our mind, we nurture our bodies. And so, like in the middle of the day, you're stressed. You're like, oh my gosh, I need to go outside and take a walk. So you're in nature, you're moving your body, your mind starts to clear, and you can actually like feel your nervous system kind of getting just a little more quiet. And I really think there's this connection that we've been missing for so long. And this is where like the holistic piece comes in of like fitness was all about like crushing it and like no pain, no gain. And, like losing 10 pounds. And like, what do you do after you lose the 10 pounds? What do you do after you crush it? And I'm all about like working hard during a workout. Like it's about, showing up and like putting in the effort and the intensity, because that's where change happens. And like getting uncomfortable, hiking a mountain that you maybe usually wouldn't hike, and like kind of pushing yourself a little bit. And like kind of that's my slogan. But I want to do it in like in this an approachable way. And like everyone wants to feel like a badass. So that's kind of like my slogan is like approachable badassery. Everyone wants to feel like a
I love
badass
it.
in their life, but everyone's mountain is a little bit different. And how do you kind of meet people where they are and kind of take them along this journey and be like their cheerleader and their adventure partner, and create fitness plans and movement sessions and workouts that like help show up for them where they are, and taking them on this journey and this progression to making them feel stronger. And it's a journey. It's not like movement and fitness, and it's not just like a one shot, like a 6 month thing. Like, okay, I'm going to work out and move my body for 6 months. Like it's a lifetime thing. And it's about like
Yeah.
creating longevity and vitality in your mind and body, because like if you are investing in your health and wellness right now for your future self. And I think that's something that we are just starting to tap into, is that like I'm 42, and I feel like I'm in like really great shape at the moment. Like I feel really strong. Like when I'm snowboarding this season, and we've had a really lackluster snow season, but like, so on March powder day, I'm like, I could go bell to bell. I feel really strong. And like that is
Wow.
so important, because like I've kept up my fitness all year round. So when that powder day has come, I am prepared for it. And when I turn 60, I'm hoping to be able to feel the same way and prevent injuries. And all of this kind of like ties into, memory and mental health, and like and keeping your mind sharp. So it is all interconnected. And I think before, as someone in their 20s who are just like working out to like, be skinny or lose weight or fit into like the bikini or the jeans, or like the lifestyle that is being pushed to you in like Cosmo and 17 magazine is so
Yeah.
different than like this holistic lifestyle of vitality, longevity, and like holistic wellness. And also just to like tap in on like the yoga portion of kind of this, is that I think like for me, yoga, I like hated it for a really long time. Like I didn't understand it. When I was living in San Francisco, it was like in this, again, inside, it was too hot. It was like too claustrophobic. And I would like skip out on Shavasana and be like, all right, I thought of it as like a workout. I was like, okay, I'm not going to go to the gym today. I'm going to go to yoga and do this like workout. For me now, after going through my yoga teacher training, it's all about like a work in. And I actually don't like to go into yoga studios. The only yoga studios I will go to if they have like big picture windows looking at nature, because I find that like the true value for me personally in yoga is that connection to nature, and like that mind, body, soul, energetic nature connection, and like breathing through the poses and really being like slow and methodical and mindful and balance and stability is this interconnection, obviously, to breath and to like what's out the window or what's like above you in the sky, and like the sun, the birds chirping, the leaves kind of like twinkling above you. It's like this presence. And I think through like core power yoga or power yoga, we kind of defeat the purpose of what yoga really is. And, sometimes you can call like the flow you're in on a snowboard, that's yoga. Like playing with your dog and like feeling super present, and like that could be yoga. It's just being in that present moment in that flow state. So yes, I know that I kind of went on a tangent there, but also like reframing movement as this act of, self-love where we're honoring our bodies, and like each walk, stretch, lunge, squat is a way to say like, I'm here and I'm choosing to show up for myself. And it's like this mindset shift to treat movement as this bodily love. And, it's something that you look forward to and not something that you dread or you feel like have to do. It's like something you want to do and you get to do, because not many people, well, there's a lot of people in this world who don't get to move their bodies in the way they want to.
I agree with so much you said about Americanized yoga, because every time I take a yoga class outside of the country, especially outside, the simplicity is profound. And the way you can practice one or two movements with the breath and have a really smiley, happy Balinese instructor looking at you saying, "This is yoga, just smile. You're doing yoga right now. This just smile," right? But then, like you said, walk in a studio and, where we live, there's an Olympian around every corner, or there's a wannabe Olympian around every corner whose ship has sailed. And there is an aura of, I'm a badass. And if I'm not kicking my ass in every workout, I am not doing it right. And it doesn't resonate with me either. I love how you're taking this holistic approach to a human, which is mind, body, spirit, soul, however someone experiences that element, and helping them connect through the breath. I like how you said every movement is an energy and a joy. And yeah, we live in a place where we get to choose. We get to choose that we're going to move. We live in such abundance. And I think that is an energy that you exude, is abundance in your joyfulness, in your, like you said, our camaraderie has never been one of competition, even though we're in a small town. I feel like you know the meaning of enough and what it means to have enough. And I'd love to go more into how someone works with you. Say someone has a trip planned to come to Utah, or say someone is new. We're experiencing a lot of population growth. Somebody moves here and their neighbors are going mountain biking, but they've never sat on a mountain bike before. Or it's one that you might find in a lot of cities, which is perhaps more constructed than out in the wild, like we might find out here. How do you take that person and make them comfortable in an environment like this?
I think it's about preparation and making sure that they have the right gear and their water and their snacks, and being that cheerleader and that person that shows up at the trailhead or the park or wherever we're meeting, and just be like, okay, you have a plan in place, you make them feel comfortable, you create a rapport. I have multiple different facets to my business where like I create custom outdoor fitness experiences, which could basically mean just like meeting with someone, they're looking to train for their own personal goal of like hiking Timpanogos, or, hiking a smaller mountain, or getting ready for ski season, and creating a program around that. So I just call it custom outdoor fitness experiences. But like that looks like working with one-on-one clients outside. In the wintertime, we kind of work out of my garage. If it's too cold or it's raining or it's snowing and we're just kind of protected from the elements, I figure that's like a really good spot. I like to use a lot of body weight or light weights. I have some heavier weights as well, boxes and a Bosu and bands. And then in the spring or summer, we'll go to trails or parks, or I can go to someone's house. It's exclusive of going into someone's personal gym at a house too and preparing for an outdoor adventure. There have been people who have come to town and they found me. I do some writing for Visit Park City, the chamber, and they found me through my articles there. And they've asked me if they'd guide them and their friends on a hike. And I was like, yeah, I do like fitness hikes where we'll meet and we'll have like an intention setting, and we'll do a little mindfulness gratitude practice, and we'll go on our hike, and we'll have some like light weights, and we'll do some like bicep curls or some like, arm raises. And then we'll get to the beautiful out viewpoint, and we'll do another kind of mindfulness practice and breathing. And we'll do like a 15-20 minute workout with some bands and some body weight and some light weights. So really integrating nature, functional fitness, strength training. And I've done it in the wintertime too. We've gone out to Round Valley and on the kind of groomed trails, and which is super fun because I do find that like there's this like badassery feeling when you're out moving your body in nature. It's cold, it's uncomfortable, but it's magical. Like being in the snow is magical. There's so many personal trainers out there and holistic practitioners, and you're just like, what, this person that is going to be like my cheerleader, my adventure partner, your so-called like fitness therapist, because a lot of like emotional things come up You're moving your body.
Mm.
You hold as the book, your body keeps the score. You're moving and processing things. I think more so now than ever that we're becoming more aware of our consciousness, and that is another topic for another time. But there's a lot
Yeah.
of movement through the body of emotions and feelings as you move your body. And so, who is that person that you want to tell those things to? Like, you're having an issue with your friend or your child or your husband, and it's all protected. And sometimes you feel more able to release that during movement than maybe when you're sitting on a couch with someone. So if someone feels connected to my energy, I totally want them to continue to reach out and to work with me if it's in person or remote. And I love that this new hybrid approach to personal training and fitness and movement, because we have access to these programs and the internet and FaceTimes, and it's a really great way to stay connected to that person who is your person, is your movement and personal training and holistic wellness person.
I relate so much to that. And yeah, it's fun compared to, 25 years ago when I was training, it was like you come to your workout. And if you can't, maybe I can write some things down on a piece of paper, right? But we have so much opportunity to stay connected now and to utilize these tools no matter where we are. And I think you're right. And I experienced that too. And it's one of the things that I treasure the most in this field that we work with. Being someone's trusted partner with their body, I bear a lot of responsibility to them, like not only to keep them safe in that 1 hour that we're working together or the fitness retreat, however long that is, but to keep their emotions safe to those things that come up through movement. Like you said, the emotions getting stored in the tissue, and you never know when you just do the right movement. And all of a sudden there's this
Yeah.
release, right? And that's how we're designed. The body is designed. There really is no separation. We use these terms body, mind. Of course, there's nervous system and the way it integrates and everything else. I like the holistic work that you're doing and nature. We could do a whole podcast on the benefits of why being outside is good for the body.
And I think it
And
adds a little bit of th- awe and wonder into our daily lives,
yeah,
which I think is so important, because the awe and wonder tie into the joy, into having more fun. Like, your workouts can be playful. I feel like they're just more playful, period, being outside. Like, it's not working out, it's moving your body. So I like to call my sessions movement sessions rather than working out. Like, you go to a gym to work out. You come to me to move your body in a playful and fun way, just by in the nature of it, of being in nature. I think is just kind of something that is shocking and surprising. And you're like, oh, I can do this. I don't have to go to a gym. I think is a really kind of mindset shift. And I'm here in my life to show up in a way to on a daily basis to find, the magic in the everyday. I'm like, how do I want to create magic today? How do I want to show up in presence and with and see awe and wonder and whimsy, and have more fun, to make this day the best. Like, what is the one thing I need to do to make today the best day ever? And maybe that's my movement session. Maybe that's playing with my dog or taking my daughter on a bike ride. It could be these really little significant things. And so that's where, again, this holistic approach comes in, where it's not just about fitness. And I think I may be untraditional in the sense that, yes, you go to a personal trainer because you're I want to lose 10 pounds or I want to gain muscle, but I think it's all connected. It's I think it takes a really special client to recognize that potentially, and feel connected to this messaging.
yeah, it's unique. Going back to how we've all been conditioned to think that to exercise, we have to go indoors. And yet here we are in a place in Utah, in Park City, where we all moved to enjoy being outdoors. Clearly, you're in the right place for what you're doing, where people get it. I remember living in Washington, D.C., training clients. And if a client came in particularly anxious, I'd be like, okay, we're going to take the warm up outside. And the best I could do was walk to a green space, but that green space worked magic. And by the time I got that person back indoors, they were ready to work out. Like, we've been able to talk about it and move and work some of that energy out. And I love how you do it all 4 seasons, because I have to say, I don't know if I know a more enthusiastic fan of winter than you. So I imagine that someone who's not quite sure if they want to do this workout outside on a blower day, that they're excited to be with someone who is absolutely overjoyed to be there with them.
Yeah, there is something about personally, I love snowboarding during a storm day. There's something maybe a little sadistic about it. I don't know, but like, but like it's windy and it's like you're like, I'm out here. I'm like, I'm doing it, and you
Yeah.
feel like you're getting out of your comfort zone and you feel alive. And for some people, maybe that's like taking a workout outside, and it's like snowing and it's a little bit cold, but you warm up fast. I will warm you up fast. Like you're going to overheat. I promise
Yeah.
you. And, I have clients who come here and they're like in their coat and we're working out in the driveway. Yeah, they're taking their jacket off and they're taking their sweatshirt off and they're like all of a sudden in a tank top and like it's cold, 20 degrees out and it just feels so good. And there's all this research now about like cold plunging and like being outside in the cold. And, this is another version of that.
Yeah, somehow cold got demonized. Yeah, there's nothing more fun to me than being out in the snow and in my tank top or t-shirt. I'm like, oh, I just feel
You go for
good,
a hike
you know?
and it's snowing or you're like on a snowshoe. I've taken my clients snowshoeing or on a hike, and I bring my dog. I have a very cute golden retriever. It just always adds more joy
Yes,
to
you
your
do.
to your workouts because he's having fun. And I don't know if I have this book, Forest Bathing with Your Dog, and like there's nothing more present
Oh,
than being with a dog, because like hiking or in the snow, because they're just like, I smell this, I smell that. Oh, look at and then you just follow their presence. Anyway, when you're hiking and it's snowing and there's nothing quite like it. The magic of winter, having the snow fall on your face. It looks like these tiny little crystals, and it's quiet and it's peaceful and it's magical, and it's just, it's a completely different feeling than summertime. And to be able to experience that in this new way, I think is really powerful.
full stop on winter. You just nailed it. Well, there's another topic I've been wanting to get to, and that's the creativity piece of Stoke Coach. Not only is the very formative nature of Stoke Coach creative, but this is not just something you do. This is who you are. And ever since I've known you, creative arts has been part of your persona. I remember doing a hike with you in Moab once and seeing you pull out a little travel kit of watercolors and just whipping something out while we're here in conversation. I thought that was the coolest thing. I definitely want to talk about your experience with the artist's way, what you were just talking about, the daily experience of awe, the daily experience of doing something that inspires you, I think is an act of creativity in itself. And so tell us more about how creativity fits into Stoke Coach.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it stems back from this idea that I think someone once said, "Oh, I'm not creative. I'm not creative." And as an adult, you hear that so much, but like we are the architects of our lives. Like we are being creative every day by like the decisions that we make. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that like our lives are this blueprint, and every decision, everything that we put on our own little map is creative. And so how do we tap into this creativity more to create the life that we want to lead? And I really think that it's so many people are like, I'm not creative, because like they're attaching creativity with like being a photographer or a painter or a sculptor. And like as much as like you're talking about, like I whip out my paint kit, like by no means am I like an artist or a good artist. Like I am an artist in the sense that like I will enjoy the act of creating. Like I do love photography. I'm like a always like had a camera growing up and like loved taking pictures. And I really, my parents was like, "Oh, you should sell your photos." And I'm like, they're not that good." But like you have a vision, and I feel like I have a vision of how I want my life to be. I have a vision of like I'm an idea hustler. I have ideas just like coming out of my like wazoo at all times. So, and it's so that is creativity, like having ideas and like trying to like execute them. And it doesn't have to be like a traditional art thing. I love fashion. You can't really tell I'm wearing, but I'm wearing my, I created
Oh, your Stoke
well, like,
Coach
I
sweatshirt.
created
Yeah.
this was a vision of mine, and I contacted an artist that I really loved, Hannah Eddy, and she does, like, a lot of, like, action sports. There's a mural at Woodward that she did, but, like, I had this vision, and I explained it to
Oh,
her, and this is what she came up with. And so, like, that is an act, like, having ideas and, like, being able to put those out into the world, um, is creativity. And so, yeah, so I feel like on a daily basis, being able to like tap into this act of creativity creates presence, and it creates awe, and it slows down the hustle of life. And so, yeah, so I have like my own little, I've like found like little, like these awesome,
beautiful.
my
Your art
kit,
kit.
and like I have other things, but like just if something spawns an idea or just I want to doodle something in a book, it's not about it being good. It's just about the act of doing. So, yeah, like last year was like a really tough year, like, year 2 of motherhood, and I was kind of feeling really uninspired. So I had some friends who've done the Artist's Way book by Julie Cameron, which is like a
It's like a
yes,
Bible, like
spiritual creativity. And so like the
mhm.
main points of it is it's 12 weeks, and it's every day you're doing morning pages. So it's like 3 handwritten journal pages, just a brain dump of all the things, like clearing out all the crap in order to spark some kind of creative idea. And it's like I literally have like 5 ideas that I'm marinating on, like creating all these different kinds of business alongside this business, but like they're
Mhm.
all complementary in this ethos of Stoke and joy and snowboarding and fashion and style. And so this thing, like, it works. I have a friend who did this, and she created a hair care company, and it's like all over the place, and it's amazing.
Mhm.
And so through this, I think it like really sparks these ideas by clearing out all of the logisticizing and like the adulting and the planning, and really lends the spirit of being like creative and creating your life. And it's about, I think, just creating space to do like not doing the everyday things, but just to like be present. And and the other part of the artist way is taking yourself on an artist date once a week. So it's like going to an art store and buying
Yeah.
things. You don't have to buy things. You can go to the bookstore and look at like art books, or I've gone to galleries, or I've taken my paints on like a walk, or just taking your dog for a walk. It's just being present. I think a lot of this is about being present. And for me, creativity is a cornerstone, because I think of Stoke Coach, because through movement we have ideas. We have moments that like spark like genius. And like when I'm snowboarding and I'm on a chairlift, I'm like, a poem, like what is this? And or I'm hiking and like taking notes, or I have an idea, or listening to a podcast that like sparks something. So I have these ideas to kind of connect movement and creativity, like, going on a hike or a mountain bike ride, and you're like challenging yourself, and like you're so in the moment. And then what if we get to the top, we do like a paint session, or, an idea brainstorm, and like you really flow and channel all those ideas through movement onto the page. So yeah, that's kind of, like I said, your life is a creative act. Make time for creativity.
Beautiful. Can you repeat that? I want to write that down. Your life is a creative act.
Make time for creativity. And through the artist way, it really helps you identify creative blocks, traumas, or career trauma, or any kinds of traumas
Yeah.
that like you haven't mourned, and it's like stuck in your unconscious, and like you're just blocked. And I feel like last year I was like kind of feeling super blocked. And by like
Mm.
excavating the past a bit and writing down all the things that are like that's annoying you, that's bothering you, that's like triggering you. I'm planning on doing like a mourning ceremony, and like writing down all of the things that like have blocked me throughout my life, and just like burning them, and just being like, see ya. And just kind of stepping into like a new light, and just, you know what, I am
Yeah.
creative. I am a creative. We were all born to be creative. And I think we need to like stop telling ourselves that we are not creative just because we don't make art,
Yeah.
like traditional art.
Traditional art that sells and makes us money, and that's all we do for our living, right? Those are creatives. Like, that's where did that come from? Who said that was
It's
true?
all about
I
like the
don't
process. Like through the artist way, I'm like, I'm writing a memoir. But it's like not about like the product of the memoir. It's like excavating who I am as an individual. And it's the process. And that connects back to fitness and movement, in the sense that like this is moving your body is a journey. It's a process. It's something that you do every single day of your life. It's things you do when you don't even know that you're doing it. Like you're walking to the kitchen, you're going to the bathroom, you're like sitting on the floor to play with your child. Like how do you be better at that? Or how do you do it in a way that's like strengthening and like longevity and vitality? And so it is a never ending process, this movement thing. And how do you just do it with more joy and excitement and play?
amen. Yeah, right? I've asked myself the question before, like, am I gonna reach a point where I no longer want to do this? Like, what do I do if that happens to me? But my joy of being in the body, that my joy of hiking and skiing and snowboarding and like all the things, exploring,
Never.
like what number one, who would I wouldn't even recognize myself if I woke up that way. But I've experienced through injury when I'm not able to do those things fully. And I know that I've mourned the loss of my ability to do those things in those times. And I think, like you said, like the conversation I have with myself when that question comes up is like, it doesn't matter if I want to or not. Like, I'm here and that's what I do. And that's what I will continue to do. And it's this deep conviction because I know the joy that comes from it. And I think I get so much joy watching other people's lights turn on as they get to start experiencing it, as they get to start experiencing their body doing things they didn't know it could do, or as you help them overcome a fear or a block, like you said. It's like the ability to hold space and guide someone through that experience is so meaningful and joyful to me that
Sorry, go ahead.
I think that that's part of why the thought of not doing it is
Yeah,
unacceptable.
and you mentioned 2 things at the overcoming injuries, so I wanna touch on that. Also, s this whole thing for me is, like, chasing the flow and chasing the flow I feel when I'm snowboarding. Like, how like, we're all like, why do people do this sport? Why do they, like, put on all the gear and get on the chairlift or and in the elements? It's for this feeling of, like, excitement and joy, and, like, how do I, like, transcend that and, like, help people feel that feeling on a daily basis without having to go snowboarding? Like, how do you create that kind of flow in someone's life or help them, like, move into that experience? Because, like, when like, we know how to get to that, like, skiing, snowboarding, mountain biking, surfing, like, you know how to get to that feeling that you're chasing of, like, just it's a pure feeling, and you chase that and, like, how do you just, like, embody that feeling? And it's like, that's where the visualization comes from, and, like, feeling those feelings of, like, "I know that feeling, I just wanna get back there." And you can do it through mindfulness, you can do it through breath work, and you can do it for going on a walk with your dog. You just have to, like, decide that that's the way you wanna feel. And
Right.
then in the overcoming injuries part,
Yeah.
like, I know that about overcoming your injury, and I still have an injury. I partially tore my ACL in 2018, snowboarding at Alpine Meadows, and it was devastating because I was pretty depressed for a month there. Like, I couldn't snowboard. I'm like, "I have to get surgery." Like, we were going to Greece for our
Mm.
honeymoon that summer, and I was like, "I can't, like, what in the what?" I couldn't move my body the way I wanted to move it. And so but at the same time, it kinda lit this fire underneath me where I was like, "I am going to get back into, like,
Yeah.
strong strength body that I was like I had before." And so I like went to physical therapy 2 days a week. I would wake up every morning at 5 a.m. I bought like a silly little like recumbent bike on Amazon. It was like before Peloton. And like I would wake up at 5 in the morning. I'd do all like my 30 minutes of my like banded exercise, I'd get on the bike for 30 minutes. And I was like determined to like get back. And like because just to back up, like my I saw 3 doctors. 2 of them said I need surgery. I had surgery scheduled. The 3rd doctor was, like, Dr. Isono from the Golden State Warriors, and he, like, requested another MRI, but it was, like, a more high def one. He said, "Actually, this is only a partially ACL tear, it's not fully, and I can't recommend cutting." And my husband was like, "Okay, I love any surgeon
Mm.
that does not recommend cutting." So he's just like, "Just make those muscles as strong as possible around your knee." So that's where the PT came in, and then after PT or during PT, like, kind of towards the end of it, I started seeing a strength coach and a strength trainer, and we started doing like crazy strength, like back squats and like sled pulls and all of these things. And I like by January of 2019, I was snowboarding in Japan. And so,
Wow.
it really lit this fire. And like I've continued to have that fire lit, like keeping my knee strong to continue to do the
Yeah.
things that I like to do. So like I wear ankle weights, like go to my workout classes, and all my friends make fun of me. They're like, "Oh, why are you wearing ankle weights?" And I'm like, I'm just like doing a little extra resistance to keep that knee stabilized and good for all the things that I like to do and all the sports that I like to play, and it's really important to me to maintain this strength. And it's so important for my longevity and vitality. And like, because like honestly, I'm in this limbo. I could have another freak accident, or something could just like twist and be hiking. I could hit something wrong, mountain biking, fall, and I could fully tear my ACL. And then I would need surgery, and I'd be back to like ground zero. And so there was a time where I was living in this like gray area of like this mental gray area that was like super like sad and depressing, being like, okay, anything could happen at any point, but I've like taken control and like, okay, I feel strong. I am strong. I'm keeping my knee strong. I'm keeping those muscles strong. That is my motivation right now, every day, to keep the muscles of my knee strong so I can continue to do the things that I love to do.
Powerful motivator. It really is. And like you said, it's a decision that you make, just like the decision to go create awe in your day and do something of meaning, like to maintain strength that allows you to go do something at the jump
Yeah.
of, like an opportunity comes and you want to take it, but oh, sorry, I'm not going to be able to
I didn't keep my legs
because
strong.
I didn't keep my legs strong and I'm at risk of injury now. So I think it's such a powerful message that I love to share as well as like, and I wish more people knew that those of us who are personal trainers, athletes, coaches, I don't know a single person who doesn't have something in our body that has been an Achilles heel type of situation at some point, but we have learned to live with it and you just don't let up. Like those are the boring exercises that you do, like my shoulder exercises, the rotator cuff strengthening stuff. I don't find them exciting anymore, but I know that if I don't do them, if I fall on my skis or, if
Yeah.
I hit something, I road bike now, I don't mountain bike anymore. Like you said, like, I'm not willing to risk a situation that puts me back
And
through
it's like,
surgery. So therefore there's things you
yeah,
have to
it's about
do.
making your fitness habit consistent to
Yes.
prevent injury and to help with like this vitality and like longevity. But at the same time, it's like mental health side of things. It's like meditating every day, taking yourself out for a walk at 2
Yes.
p.m., like getting out of like not sitting. That also is helping with this consistent habit of mental health and movement and this connection there. And so I really think that is important. Like, you're strengthening this muscle, which is like the brain
Yes.
muscle, which is we could have a whole other conversation on.
And we're going to
Yes.
have to too,
Yes.
can we? Yes, good, good. Yes, because it is powerful.
Well, I wake up at like 5, between 5 and 5:30 in the morning, and I make sure that I meditate, do like 5 to 10 minutes of yoga. I like do my journaling. And when I don't do those things, like I feel like out of sorts. And it's been like over 400 days of meditating for like 5 to 10
That's
minutes.
incredible,
And
Rachel.
like, it's really it's a habit now where I need to do it
Yeah.
and to like for my peace for my day and like hype myself up. I like add in like a morning dance, like a 5-minute dance to like some songs. I don't know, just like you got to hype yourself up to like have a good day.
Thanks for hanging out with me and the Stoke Coach today. As you head into your week and into the heart of winter, I hope you feel inspired to move not just harder, but smarter and with more joy. If you loved this episode, hit subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a friend who's gearing up for ski season or thinking about their 2026 goals. And don't forget to grab my free guide and join the newsletter for more tools to help you stay balanced, injury resistant, and adventure ready. See you next time on The Mindful Trainer. The Mindful Trainer is the official podcast of WebWell. I'm your host, Melanie Webb. I'm also the founder and master trainer at WebWell. To learn more about WebWell and all we have to offer, please visit webwell.com.